Heartland has been going strong for over 15 years and is loved by many. The premiere of season 14, though, brought a shocking revelation to the fans. One of the stars of the show, Wardle, had left the show permanently, and after much speculation, we finally know why he chose to do it. First up, Wardle left Heartland for other adventures. Heartland fans have grown attached to the characters in the show after watching them on their screens for over a decade. So whenever a character stops appearing regularly, it leaves a massive void that's almost impossible to fill. This is what happened when season 14 of the show started off with the news that Borden, who is one of the main characters in the show, has died. It was obviously super devastating for everyone who'd been following this character's journey and relationships for 13 seasons. His death in the show didn't come about for no reason, though. Wardle, the actor who plays Borden, was apparently just done with his acting career and wanted to go do other things. According to him, he'd been on the show for long enough and felt that it was time to move on. Anyone wanting to leave a role is fair enough. But you may be still thinking, why would someone leave such an iconic and well-paying role? After all, being an actor with a well-known role and a stable source of income is pretty rare these days. Not only that, but a complete career change can be daunting for anyone, let alone someone who has worked on the same thing for so many years. So when presented with the same questions, Wardle offered some clarification to his fans. According to him, this decision did not come lightly, and he spent years thinking about this move. He wasn't going to just bail out randomly and wanted to honor the show while making this transition. But everything has to end at some point, and he felt like this was the right time for him to pull the plug on his acting career. Next, what happened to Wardle's character in Heartland? If you haven't caught up to season 14 of Heartland yet, you're probably shocked to find out that Wardle's character, Borden, has passed away in the show. The scene was actually very heartbreaking and devastating. Since the season 13 finale, the passing of the torch ends with Amy and Ty catching a stray bullet fired by a poacher. They're both wounded. In the finale, Ty rushes Amy to the hospital and realizes that he's been shot as well. And while both of them do survive through that, Ty's future turns out to be pretty bleak. In the opening episode of season 14, he collapses on the floor while leading Spartan back to the barn, and that's sadly where he passes away due to a blood clot caused by his earlier gunshot wound. In the scene, Amy and Jack rush to help him, but by the time they reach him, it's already too late. This isn't the first time Ty has been on the brink of leaving the show, though. We've seen him leave for Mongolia with Bob, and when that happened, many wondered whether he'd even come back to Canada. And even when he did eventually come back in season 10, things weren't really the same. He always seemed to have complications with his health, which raised the question that maybe there was something going on behind the scenes to allow Wardle's exit from the show. Now, Graham's departure from Heartland has been in the works for 2 years. The news of Ty's death in the show may have felt like a sudden thing, but we had been building up to the moment for a while. As we've said earlier, the Heartland star just wasn't pleased with his acting career anymore and had already taken long breaks before finalizing his decision to leave. And while we don't know about it until season 14, he actually made up his mind a few years before that. And he wasn't really hiding it either, as his co-star Amber Marshall, who plays his wife in the show, was one of the first people to know about it. Of course, leaving the show would not have been easy for himself or anyone working on the show. Someone so integral to the plot dying off can have some pretty big repercussions, especially for the characters that are left. For instance, Amy now has to deal with being a widow now, which is a pretty heavy plot point to carry. Wardle, however, feels good about the way his character arc ended. According to him, despite being a heartbreaking story, Ty's passing also gives a valuable lesson to the viewers. It's the fact that life must go on, and there's still healing and hope in the world after someone passes away, which can act as a source of comfort for a lot of people. Next, Heartland stars talk about life after Ty Borden. After the shocking departure of Wardle, the cast has also been talking about the changes that they felt both in the show and on set. The biggest one, obviously, is the fact that one of their co-stars is no longer hanging around the set with them. As for the show itself, this is perhaps the realest Heartland has been ever since it started airing. We've seen other losses in the show before, and characters like Amy and Lou are definitely no strangers to such a thing, as Heartland begins with the death of their mother. Having so much on-screen history with one character does make it a bit bleaker, though. Amy, for instance, remains numb with grief for the majority of the season, while the rest of the characters find their own way to process the loss. According to Marshall, though, there is still a lot of humor and stories left to tell in the show, so we can expect Amy to get back on her feet. However, while the show must go on, it's still okay for everyone to resonate with this more serious side of life. Now, in other Heartland news, Season 14 of Heartland is finally available on Netflix in the US. Heartland's 14th season is full of emotional and gut-wrenching moments, making it perhaps the strongest outing for the show so far. And while it was universally loved when it aired on TVs in the US and Canada, there's still a wider global audience that hasn't caught up yet. Netflix is the go-to platform for Heartland viewers who can't catch it live on UPTV or CBC. However, the show has always been 2 seasons behind on the platform due to exclusivity agreements. Here's some good news, though. That exclusivity agreement was only valid until March 2022, which means that Heartland Season 14 is now fully available to watch on Netflix. It was added to the streaming platform's catalog on April 1st, so you can jump in right now and experience one of the best seasons of Heartland so far. When can we expect Heartland Season 15 to arrive on Netflix? If you're already ahead of the curve and have watched Season 14 of Heartland, you're probably eager for the next one, which finished airing on television a few weeks ago. If you're in the UK or any other region, you've got nothing to worry about, as you can already stream the latest season on the streaming service. Things are a bit more complicated when it comes to Netflix for the US audience. Since we just got Season 14 in the US, we haven't seen any announcements for the new season yet. Having said that, if we follow the release pattern of the previous season, it wouldn't be a surprise if we get our hands on Season 15 in a few months as well. Or if you really can't wait to watch it, you can always use creative ways to access other Netflix markets. Next, Heartland was the 5th most streamed series of last year. If you were to tell us that a show which started airing over a decade ago would still be high up in the streaming charts, we wouldn't believe you. However, Heartland is one of those shows that just has a massive audience, even if we don't see much discourse about it on social media. According to a recent Nielsen report, not only has Heartland gained popularity as compared to its previous seasons, but it was actually the 5th most streamed series of last year, which is just a mind-blowing stat. Of course, this report only covers the US audience, but that's still an insanely high number, especially when you think about all the popular TV shows that were released last year. The top 4 shows above Heartland are Criminal Minds, CoComelon, Grey's Anatomy, and NCIS. And if you're wondering where other popular shows like Squid Game and Lucifer are, they're on top of the original streaming list. But even if they were mixed with the acquired shows list, which Heartland is a part of, they'd still be below the Canadian drama. Honestly, though, this 5th spot is pretty well deserved, as the show has grown a lot since its earlier days and has lately been killing it by tackling some important issues and deeper themes. Drama television really doesn't get much better than this. That's a wrap for this video. What do you want to see in the next season of Heartland? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.